Hi, hello. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you very much for coming. So today we invited a grade school from Ireland to give us a short presentation and explain us what this special school in Ireland can offer for the students, international students. And we also have a student who is at the IB program now at the school. Hello, Simon. And we have Susan and Shane here. They will introduce us the school. I don't know which one of you would like to start.
I'll start.
Susan or Shane? Shall we start with the presentation? Or would you like to introduce yourselves first?
Yeah, so I'll start with the presentation. Just go to the beginning. Yeah, so we're from Villiers School. We're located in Limerick. It's in the southwest of Ireland. So my name is Susan Pena and I look after admissions at Villiers. And my colleague Shane Hanna is the IB coordinator and also the international student coordinator at the school. And as Ava mentioned, Simon is one of our students who is in the IBDP program here in Villiers. So just a little bit about Villiers. Villiers is the only boarding school in Ireland that's authorised to offer the IB Diploma program. So we were authorised back in 2017. It's quite a rigorous process to become an IB World School, but we went through that process, and now our first group of students graduated in 2020. And we have 2 more years of students going through the school now, and it's quite successful. So 15% of our students here in Villiers are international from more than 30 countries. We have 600 students overall in the school. So in comparison to a lot of international schools in the world, we are quite a small school, and that's one of the reasons why we'll often talk about or hear people talk about the Villiers family. Because we are quite small, everybody knows each other's names. Everybody knows everybody knows each teacher, each student as we walk through the hallways and through the campus. Of those 600 students, 136 are boarders, and the rest live in the local area. We do have some international students who board, as well as some international students who would come and stay with a host family. Simon is one of those students that stays with a host family here in Limerick. We have boys and girls in the school, and then also just to note that we are a boarding school association affiliate school. So, what that means is we do have the boarding school association come to the school, and we make improvements, and we have certain standards that we aspire to as part of the boarding schools association. So our location, you can see on the map, we are the middle dot on the map. Dublin is over to the right of the map, and that's the largest city in Ireland. We're only about 2.5 hours drive from Dublin Airport, and there is a direct bus that goes into the city in Limerick. So we're really quite accessible. There's also a local airport close to us here. Shannon Airport's only about 20 minutes drive, and Limerick is it's kind of at the end of the River Shannon, and it's really quite accessible to everything in Ireland and to internationally as well. And our campus. So one of the things that we always hear about our campus is, even though we're so close to the city here in Limerick, and we're only about 15 minutes walk to the city. When you're actually standing within the campus, you don't feel like you're in a city. You feel like you're, we have 14 acres here in Villiers, so we do have quite a lot of ground, and we don't have any tall buildings or anything like that around us. We also have 2 homes on the site that were original from the 19th century, so there's quite a traditional feel about the grounds as well. We also, even though we're quite traditional, we do have some modern facilities. So the inside of one of the homes, Dara Voher, has been upgraded. So that's kind of the home of our IB diploma program at the moment. Also our library is inside Dervoher. And, you know, our science labs, our sports facilities are all quite updated. So we do have quite modern facilities here in Villiers, and many of our practical subjects that students would do, particularly in our transition year, are, you know, in updated classrooms. We have actually had new classrooms added this year, as well as dormitories that were upgraded this year as well. So, and I'll let Shane talk you through our various programs that we have in the school.
Yeah, so my name is Shane Hanna. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, my name is Shane Hanna and I'm the International Student Coordinator and the IBDP Coordinator in Villiers. So in general, our school is divided into 3 parts really. We have the junior school, which is for students who are 12 to 15. We have what's called transition year, which is a 1-year program for students who are 15 and 16. And this is something which is quite unique to Ireland. And maybe Simon can talk a little bit more about TY, but it's a really unique experience for students. And it's one which would be most popular with our international students as well. Then we have our senior school. And in our senior school, we have the Irish Leaving Certificate, which would be the equivalent of the A-levels or the Abitur or Selectividad in Spain. And the majority of our Irish students will do the Leaving Certificate. But as Susan mentioned, we are now the only authorised boarding school to offer the IB Diploma programme. So our senior school then is for students who are generally 16 to 18, and both the Leaving Certificate and the IB are 2-year programmes. So we take and we have international students in all parts of our school. So in the junior school from 12 to 15, we have a large number of international students join us for transition year, and then we do have international students as well in our senior programs also. So as I mentioned, in transition year, this would be one of our most popular years for international students, and as part of our journey to become an IB school, we created what was called ITY. We were only the 2nd school in Ireland to be authorised as a diploma programme school, so it was quite new. There wasn't really anybody else who had tried to do this since the 1980s in Ireland. And as part of this process, we needed to create something which would give Villiers students the experience of the diploma programme, without necessarily missing out on all of the really positive things which happened in transition year, and also without missing out on all of the possibilities and the skills which they need to move on to the Leaving Certificate programme in Ireland. So we created a class within our transition year called ITY, and this is for students, Irish and international, who want to experience the IB, or who are maybe thinking about doing the diploma programme but want to see if they have the skills, the aptitudes, the interest. And it's also an opportunity for our teachers to see and to guide students as well, so that when they do begin the IB programme, that they're prepared and that they have a good start and a solid start to the IB, because it is a challenging programme. Simon can probably talk to you a little bit more about that, because Simon came for 1 year to our ITY programme, and he has stayed and is now at one of our IB class. So as part of transition year, the focus is less academic than perhaps some other years, and a lot of it is on personal and social development. So students have the opportunity to do all of the academic subjects, but they also do a much broader range of activities as well, like participating in school drama, like participating in outdoor pursuits activities, like doing things like they're getting their driving theory test and so on. So it's a much more holistic vision of schooling, and this is why it's such an important year for students. The ITY programme, as I said, has been designed to give a particular IB twist for students, so that they can meet the teachers, ask questions, and at the end of ITY have a much better understanding as to whether the IB diploma programme is the correct route for them. So the IB diploma programme, in case you're not familiar with it, it's taught all over the world. It's a 2-year programme for students who are generally 16 to 18 years. and it's very, very highly regarded, particularly in universities and top universities around the world, because of the skills which students leave school with. I'm the English B teacher here in Villiers, so again, Simon is in my class. He has either the fortune or the misfortune, I'm not sure, of having me as his teacher. But I was talking with our second year IB students today just about the differences, and I think one of them phrased it very, very well. They're busy handing in their internal assessments at the moment, and she said that it's much more about understanding the subjects and the content than it is simply about knowing it. Okay, and I think that's a real distinction between some other programs and the diploma program. So students study 6 subjects. The majority of IB students around the world will study 3 standard level and 3 higher level. Occasionally a student will take 4 higher level and 2 standard level, but that is the exception rather than the rule. In addition to the 6 subjects, students must study the IB core, and this involves theory of knowledge, the extended essay, and creativity, activity and service, which is CAS. And again, these are fundamental parts of the IB program, and Simon has just finished some cake which was baked for him because he finished his exams today by his classmates. Okay, and this is the kind of service attitude which we try to foster and try to create in the school. And I think it was a surprise, Simon, was it?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, so it was a lovely idea which 2 students in the class who had finished their exams early did that. And that's really what IB students are about. It's about contributing to the larger community, as well as this rigorous academic focus which the IB program has. The IB program, as I mentioned, is different from perhaps some others because of this explicit and deliberate focus on critical thinking skills. It really is about understanding content and using the content rather than simply knowing it and repeating it or regurgitating it, which would perhaps be a criticism of some other programs around the world. For this reason, students have to develop thinking skills, communication skills, so IB students must study at least 2 languages. Social skills, we would do a lot of work where students would be expected to collaborate and work together with each other on projects. Self-management skills, currently our IB2 students are handing in a number of their internal assessments. And the self-management skills, in order to meet these deadlines, it really does replicate a lot of what will happen at 3rd level and also in the workplace, okay, where students will have a number of deadlines months in advance, and they have to plan and work accordingly in order to meet those deadlines. And finally, research skills. And students are expected to research not just for their extended essay, which is a 4,000-word mini thesis, almost like you would do in university, but also for their internal assessments. And it's about students learning that, yes, they need to research, but they also need to think critically about the sources that they are using. Okay, so it's not just a case of Googling something and the first thing which appears, I include that or I believe that. And this is where theory of knowledge becomes relevant, because students are expected to consider and weigh up different sources of information, different sources of knowledge before deciding how to use it. Here in Villiers, we have a selection of subjects, and Susan will talk about the admissions process in a few moments. But one of the things we do spend a lot of time here in Villiers is, in advance of joining our IB program, we want to make sure that Villiers IB is the correct fit for every student. Okay, it's a challenging program. We understand that there are different requirements in different countries around the world, and we're happy, and we think it's very, very important that before signing up to our IB program, we meet with each student individually, with their parents. We answer any questions which they have. We'll send them and ask them to do a little bit of homework around career and interests in university after the IBDP to make sure that it is the correct fit for them. In addition to the academic, Villiers does have a very, very broad range of extracurricular activities. This year, obviously, with COVID, we have had to adapt and modify our program quite a bit, but we're delighted to say that we still have rugby, we still have hockey taking place in the school. In a normal year, we would also have basketball, soccer, badminton, but the main sports would be hockey and rugby. And we really do feel that they're a very, very important part of school life. They're, particularly for our international students, they're a wonderful way of integrating and getting to know students. Simon had the advantage of joining in transition year in our ITY program, which automatically created lots of social opportunities for him to get to know his year group. And I would argue that those trips, Simon, the hiking, the kayaking, ACL, etc. Well, ACL didn't happen for you, unfortunately, because of COVID, yeah. But they were very, very important for you in terms of getting to know your year group.
Yeah, definitely.
As Susan said, and again, Simon can speak about this, we would really pride ourselves on how comfortable students are within the school. Okay, we talk about the Villiers family, and we have students who will be in the top 1 and 2% nationally in terms of their results, and we also have students who will struggle academically and who, in reality, school is a challenge. But for us, they're very, very important members of the school and very, very important members of the Villiers family. So for this reason, we have lots of different clubs like cookery, origami, crochet, public speaking, philosophy, science. All of these different clubs exist in order to give students an outlet and in order to give students the possibility to excel in areas which they can excel in. Okay, and we understand that not every student is going to excel on the rugby pitch or in the classroom, and we have to provide opportunities for them elsewhere as well. Okay, Susan, I think you're going to take over, is that right?
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a little insight into the daily life of students in Villiers, and this is based on a boarding student. So, you know, the students get up in the morning and eat breakfast at around 8 a.m. School begins at 8:50. So between kind of 8:30 and 8:50 is when the day students will begin to arrive at school. And then they do get a morning break at around 11:15, and then they have a lunch break at 1:15. School ends at 3:50. So after school, some of the day students will go home. Others will stay to do extracurricular activities or afternoon study from 4 to 5:30. And then usually by about 6 p.m., most of the day students have gone home and the boarding students are here. They have their dinner and then they have study in the evening. So the study will go from 6:45 until 9 p.m. For senior students, it's until 9:30. And there are options also for day students to stay and have dinner and study in the evenings as well. And just a little bit about the accommodation. So for boarding students, we do have on-site dormitories. Each dorm has between 4 and 8 students. It just depends on the year that the students are in. It depends on how many students are in each year. And there's no guarantee as to which dorm a student would be assigned to. This year we did do intensive work in our dormitories to ensure physical distancing because of COVID. So all of the dorms that would have had bunk beds, we haven't used the top bunks this year. So there's more space in the dorms. And in addition, some of the dormitories, we actually removed beds just to give the students more space and to make sure that that it was safe for students to be in the dormitories. One of the most important things to us is that when boarding students are here, that they feel like it's their home. So we want them to feel safe and secure when they're in the dorms and also anywhere on campus really, but for boarders, most importantly in the boarding house. We do have 5-day boarding, and also next year in 2021, we will have 7-day boarding available as well. And like we mentioned, we also do have day available for students where they can stay with a local host family. That is an option also. Most of our international students would choose the 7-day boarding option. All of the applications that we're receiving for next year are the 7-day boarding option. So You know, as Shane mentioned, the school is we're a very inclusive school. So we would have a range of students, from the students who will get the highest marks to the students who will play sports and not excel academically. And, you know, that really is reflected in our admissions process. We don't really place huge emphasis on grades. You know, there's a number of different things within our admissions process. Sometimes we will ask for a personal statement. Sometimes we will ask for a letter of recommendation, teacher reports with teacher comments on them, things like that. For international students, it is very important that they would have a sufficient level of English to be able to manage when they come to school. We feel that it's very important that when we admit a student to the school, that we set them up for success and that they're able to come to Ireland and learn English, but they do need to have a base. So we recommend that students have a level B1 when they apply to Villiers or when they start in Villiers. The only program where there's kind of an exception here is for IB. So within the admissions process for the International Baccalaureate, we will usually request level testing, so in mathematics and in English, to ensure that the student is capable of succeeding in the program academically, and also more than likely you will have an interview as well, usually with Mr. Hannah Shane, who will ask a series of questions just to make sure that the program is the right program for you. So the process for applying directly to IB is more rigorous, and we do also recommend that you have an English level of B2. So students who come directly into our ITY program or our TY program, who wish to then stay for the IBDP, it's expected that their English would improve from a B1 to a B2 in the year that they're here for TY. And just, did you want to jump in there, Shane?
Yeah, just in terms of just one other thing in terms of the classes, and maybe I might ask Simon then to comment on this as well. Our class sizes in Villiers, generally in the junior school, are in and around 18 to 22. In transition year, depending on the subject, they can range from maybe just 10 students up to maybe 24. In our Leaving Cert classes, our class sizes would range anywhere between 10 and 12 students up to 22, 23 students, again, depending on the subject that the student has opted for. Our IB program, as Simon will tell you, are much smaller. Okay, our IB classes are much smaller. We're, as Susan mentioned, our first cohort just finished last year, and we took the decision when we were doing this that we wanted to make sure that it was a success. And if it's a success for our students, it's a success for us. So our class sizes are significantly smaller, anywhere between 1 student and 9 students. Okay, so that's generally the range of classes. Simon, I might just ask you maybe to come in and talk about your experience in ITY and in the IB, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so the thing was that I joined TY as just as a puffer space because I wasn't sure what I should do after school. And during my time here in Villiers School, I heard then from the IB program and I was very interested in doing it. So I then joined the ITY, which was kind of like TY as well. So we did all the trips TY did as well, but it was a bit more like the classes were a bit more harder than the normal TY classes. And yeah, and like Mr. Hannah said, I think the best thing about IB is really that the class sizes are very, very small. So at the beginning of the year, for example, we were only 4 people, then more people joined in later. But like when you're so less people in one class, the teacher can more specifically concentrate about the problem that you specifically have. So like if you get stuck with a specific topic, like the teachers can specialize on you because there's so less people in the class, and this really helps you getting the stuff done.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Simon. So, Susan, I don't know if you want to talk about Ireland in general.
Yeah, so just in general, you know, Ireland is quite an attractive place to study, both for second level and third level. For second level, once after January, the UK will have left the EU. So once that happens, where Ireland is actually one of the only English-speaking countries left in the EU, so that's it's quite a good thing for students who wish to learn in English and who wish to go abroad to have an education, that Ireland would be a good option for them. We're also one of the top 10 friendliest and safest countries in the world. I think Simon can probably attest to the friendliness of Irish people that you've witnessed. But also, an interesting thing about Ireland is that our economy continues to grow, even though we are experiencing COVID. There's a lot of, while people will still have a lot of struggles this year, there is a lot of companies within Ireland, biomedical companies, technology companies who have based themselves in Ireland that will actually keep our economy as such, where we will bounce back quite quickly after this. So, that's one of the things about Ireland that is quite attractive as well. I'm not sure if you can see the bottom there, but basically for high school programs and the IB program in particular, studying in Ireland is quite affordable in comparison to somewhere like the UK or other countries. It is quite an affordable option. And then also, like I said, in terms of being an English-speaking country, it's a very good opportunity to spend an academic year abroad, or to complete your education abroad to study English.
The final thing I would just, while Susan's getting the video ready, just to add, and again, I hope Simon, when Simon asked me what would we like him to say this evening, and I said, nothing, Simon, just be yourself and tell us your experience as it is. But one thing we will always do here in Villiers is we will be very, very honest with our students and prospective students and families about what we can offer and what we can't offer. And I understand that, for example, Simon is saying that the small class sizes are a real positive, and I would argue that they are. But we completely understand that may not be the case for everybody, okay? That small class sizes may not suit every single student. And this is why when Susan is processing applications, we are more than happy to spend the time with families and with students. And Simon can maybe explain about the process of joining the IB as well. But we are happy to spend the time in advance to answer any questions and put all of the cards on the table and make sure that it is the correct fit for students. So Simon, I don't know if you want to comment. Can you remember the process of joining the IB, of going through that?
So I can remember that we had an online meeting. So my parents, me, and Mr. Hanna, we had an online meeting together, and Mr. Hanna were just asking me questions about my motivation doing the IB and all that. And well, it looked like I passed.
Yes, yeah, yeah, very good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're just to go through the subjects which you're doing, Simon, might be useful.
Yeah, so I'm doing maths standard level and English B. I also do German A level, and then I'm doing, with the subject choices, I'm doing management, French, and biology. Did I forget something?
No, I think that's everything.
Yeah, and then the core subjects, obviously, CAS, TUK. Is that everything?
No, you're missing the one. Don't forget, on a Tuesday afternoon, what do you have with Julia?
Oh, yeah, extended essay.
Extended essay, yeah. So the extended essay, Simon they haven't really started that just yet. They'll begin that in earnest in January. So they've been focusing on CAS up until now. So I don't know, Eva, if you have any questions for us or anything you think might be useful.
Yeah, I was thinking about those students who are over 16 and they probably don't get admitted to the IB program, and they have then, if I understand correctly, then they have the choice to join the IT transition year, or they can also follow the Irish curriculum. Do you offer this for international students?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So depending on what the student wishes to do, they can either join directly to our, what we call the Leaving Cert, 5th year of the Leaving Certificate program, which is that 2-year program. Or if the student wishes to do the IB, but perhaps we have a concern about their level of maths or their level of English, we may ask them to join our ITY program in order to develop those skills in order to proceed then to the IB program.
So basically the requirements are different for the IB and the other, the transition year, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I was thinking about, you mentioned that you offer now the 7-day boarding. So this is a new thing, right? Because
yes, previously we had the option of weekly boarding, which was 5 days, and then students would go to a host family at the weekends, but also we had fortnightly boarding, which was that they would go to a host family every second weekend. But now that the IB program is growing and we have more international students in the school from a variety of different countries, and also this year with COVID, our international students this year have actually gotten really close to each other because they've spent so much time together, because they haven't been able to go home for midterm breaks. They had to come and do restricted movement programs before school started because of COVID. But most of the students, they don't want to go to the host families at the weekends. They either want to be a full boarder and stay in school all of the time, or they want to be a day student and stay with a host family all of the time. So we have decided that next year we will offer 7-day boarding instead of fortnightly. So students will still have the option to do 5-day boarding and go to a host family each weekend. They'll still have the option to be a day student and go to a host family every night. But most of our international students choose the 7-day option. They come at the beginning of the term and they stay in the school until the end of term. They go home not that they go home. They're off for midterm breaks in October and February, and they're off for school holidays for Christmas and Easter, and then summer, obviously. So during those times, some students will go home and others may go to host families.
I see. Okay. So Simon, you decided to stay at a host family, right?
Yeah.
And I guess you have a very good experience. That's why you decided. Did you start with a host family option from the very beginning?
Yeah. I don't know why. I went to England before, and I was there as well in a host family, and I just think that experience and being in a totally different family is very nice. So I decided to go to a host family as well, and I was very lucky. I had a lovely host family and decided to stay there as well for the IB. But also from this, like the stories of my friends I hear that are boarding, I think that boarding isn't as bad as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it really depends on the student. We have students who have come as day students, and then once they're here, they decide they want to be boarders. And then we have students who have come as boarders, and once they're here, they decide they want to be day students. So it's really a personal preference.
I remember that you have limited spots for different countries. So you really try to do a good variety of international students. Is that correct? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. So again, Simon, I don't know if you'd like to talk about your class. You don't need to mention names, but in terms of nationalities, where people are from in your class?
Yeah. So we got a load of variety of like different nationalities in the IB and in the whole school as well. So in our class, we got one Chinese person, we got 2 Thai people, we are 3 Germans, including me. We have 1 Arabic person and 1 Irish person that was living in Dubai for quite a long time. Oh, and sorry, I forgot about 1 more person was living in Hong Kong.
Okay, good.
So, you know, that's in that particular IB class. We also have students in the school from Spain, from France, from Luxembourg, from, you know, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Russia, Ukraine, China, Hong Kong, Japan, Mexico, Brazil. So, you know, we have students from lots and lots of different countries. Usually our most popular kind of student base will be kind of Spain, Germany, because those are the closest EU countries to us. But we do try to limit the numbers from each language. We will usually not have more than around 10 students in the school from any one language background, just because we want the students to come here and we want them to immerse themselves in the English language and within the English-speaking community in the school. So.
Good, thank you. We have a question here for someone asking which foreign languages can the student choose to learn?
So for the IB program, as Simon mentioned, all students must study their first language. Okay. So as we don't have, as Simon mentioned in his class, for example, we have Arabic, we have Thai, we have German. We don't have those teachers necessarily in the school. So what we offer is what's called school-supported self-taught. And this is an authorized program by the IB, where students will study the Language A literature course themselves independently. It's what's called self-taught. And what we do is we organize for the students to meet for 1 hour each week with an IB teacher, an IB tutor, who guides them then through the program in terms of selecting the texts, in terms of the assessments, in terms of setting weekly and monthly goals and so on. So whatever language students have as their first language, if they join the IB, they will have an IB tutor in that language because it's a requirement for the IB. Elsewhere in the program, we offer French, German, Japanese in the school, Chinese, Spanish. Those would be the main subjects, main language opportunities within the school in the various programs. Have I missed anything, Susan?
No, I don't think so.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I guess the only other one is that English. So English as an additional language is taught to.
And actually, sorry, we forgot. We also forgot Irish. The Irish students won't be happy.
Most of our Irish students learn Irish.
Yeah. Good. Okay. And you have a video too. Shall we watch this video now?
Yeah, I can put it on now.
Shall I start or you start?
It's just a short video.
Hi, my name is Aileen Pollard and I'm a student here at Villiers School. I'm currently in 5th year and I'm doing the IBDP program. I arrived here last year for transition year and I'm loving every minute of it. I've settled in very well. Everyone here is so nice.
Hi, my name is Carla and I'm from Germany. I joined Villiers last year in transition year and fell off in this school, in this country, there's people in this school. So I decided to join IB and I highly recommend it because I think it opens new doors in your life. It helps you find a good place and a good university.
Hi, my name is Simon. I'm from Germany and I'm 17 years old. I joined Villiers in TY and I kind of fell in love with the country, so I decided to stay and do the IBDP program. And I think it's a very good opportunity for your later life. And I want to go to university in Germany, and I think that's going to work out great with the IBDP.
Hi, my name is Jiayu Li. I'm from China. I joined the school in transition year. I'm been here for 2 years. I'm doing the IB program in the school now. I highly recommend you to join the community. I'm doing the IB program in the school now. I highly recommend you to join the community.
Now Simon's starring moment there. I think you're muted there, Shane.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So Simon was laughing at this afternoon. We were laughing at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there any other questions, Ava, or anything else that you can think of that we? You're muted as well, Ava.
Ava, I think you're muted.
Thank you. So, no, I had a question for this video that these students that you showed, they are in the school now. So it's a current video. You just shoot it recently, right?
Yes. So
okay.
Those are that's Simon's class, not all of them, but a portion of his class in the IB program that are currently here in the first year of the IB DP program.
Great. So from my side, there are no more questions, and I see no one sent us new questions. So hereby, I would like to thank you very much for taking your time and introducing this school. And in case we receive more questions from more inquiries, we will get in touch with you. And thank you very much, Simon, for sharing your experiences as a student in this school.
No bother.
Okay, so have a nice evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
You too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Simon, for your time. Thanks, Eva. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.